If you have a job right now, this is the safest time in your life to start a YouTube channel, not to become an influencer, not to chase views, but to future-proof your income. Layoffs are accelerating. AI is compressing roles. Entire departments are being restructured or replaced, and most professionals are completely dependent on one company deciding whether or not they're still needed. In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your experience and your skills that you have built through the work that you do into a scalable asset. So your income isn't tied to one employer, not as a side hustle, as leverage. If you're thinking, I just don't have the time and I'm not ready, or I don't have a big audience. Perfect. This works specifically because you're actually employed because your job is funding your expertise. So in this video, I'm actually going to lay out the 90-day roadmap of how to implement this for yourself to turn your job into your own business and share real-world examples of how we've helped people do this before. So if you want to implement this for yourself and to help you take action on what we share inside this video, comment monetize below this video and we'll send you the playbook to monetize on YouTube from day one. It's completely free and you can access it on demand. Now, let's talk about why your job is actually your unfair advantage. Your job is paying you to build your future asset. So every problem you solve, every system you improve, every challenge that you navigate, you're building expertise. But employment pays you once for that expertise in exchange for time. Ownership pays you repeatedly in exchange for structure. So Josie is a really good example of this. So Josie works as a faculty member at a well-known university. Her income was cyclical. It required a lot of her trading her time for her money. There was seasons where she would barely see her family. She was working such long hours, and it would be these overwhelming few months and then kind of nothing. So she then narrowed her focus and turned all of that experience in working with real students into a scalable online program and used YouTube's search-driven traffic to grow it exponentially. She soon replaced her salary and moved from seasonal chaos to year-round stability with under 10,000 subscribers. Not a goal of going viral at all, just clarity, structure, and very targeted content. So if you can look at your job as not something to escape, but actually funded research and development, it changes the game. So if you want to know exactly how Josie did this and follow in her footsteps, be sure to grab that monetize from day one playbook in the link in the description. Now, there is another advantage that most people overlook. Most new businesses are ruined by desperation. Your paycheck makes that a non-issue. Any way you slice it, starting a business is risky, but that risk drops dramatically when you're not betting your mortgage on it. Financial pressure creates undercharging, rushed launches, wrong fit clients, bad decisions. When you have a safety net, you can build strategically and not reactively, which is a massive unfair advantage. You can validate before committing, and you can focus on real transformation instead of fast cash. So your job is not a distraction. It's actually insulation. So there's no need to rush to quit. Now, here's where most people waste that advantage. They think the answer is to just go ahead and share their expertise online. And yeah, that can be a fun little game to play for a little bit, but you very quickly realize that if you rush into content, you are building a business on a broken foundation. You don't need content, you need signal. Because most people assume, well, I'll just do social media. I'll be everywhere. I should be on all the platforms, Instagram, TikTok, X, posting daily. That is noise. Noise is just activity without any leverage. Signal is clarity. Signal says, this is the exact problem I solve, and this is what I am the expert on. When you have a job, you don't have time for noise. That constraint and that lack of time actually forces precision. So a great example of signal versus noise is Katie. She's a veterinarian, and she was working such long days in her clinic, and she was totally burnt out doing that. But she didn't want to become just a general pet influencer. She got really, really laser focused on what she could solve and what she could be known for, which was chronic illness for pets, specifically centered around gut health, specific buyer, specific pain, specific solution. And that led Katie to launching her program before she even built it and generating $52,000 in sales. And her business has now gone on to generate multiple six figures. And she's no longer working in her clinic, but she's helping pet parents all over the world. So you might be thinking, well, if I go broad, I'll reach more people. And yes, you might reach more people, but reach does not equal revenue. Specificity, clear signal, clearly stating who you're for and who you're not. That is what leads to true leverage, long-term growth, and a healthy, sustainable income. And again, you may not be building an online program. You might be wanting to use YouTube to drive traffic to something else. But in our case, that's what we help people do. We combine your earned wisdom, knowledge, skills, authority with creating scalable authority through an online program and leveraging YouTube to drive traffic to it consistently. So every single video you post creates more leads and more sales and more impact for the business that you're growing. So the lesson here is this: you don't need hundreds of thousands of people in your audience. And you certainly don't need to fall into the very common and unfortunate trap of thinking you need to grow an audience first before you can monetize anything. That's simply not true. You need a small targeted audience of the right buyers. And oftentimes those people are already within your realm. And YouTube is so powerful at magnifying your message and getting into the hands of the right people because it is an intent-based platform. People are typing in real problems. They're looking for real solutions. You pop up. You're not pushing yourself in a feed hoping you get seen, creating hundreds of pieces of content just to stay relevant. You're creating compounding assets with every video you make. That is signal. And signal becomes incredibly powerful when you attach it to structure. So how do you kind of bring it all together? So YouTube is the front door. That's how you want to visualize it and think about it. Structure is the real asset. So we call this the owned audience engine. And this is why you do not need to build a big audience. You do not even have to have an audience to begin with. You're going to create a system that brings the right people and the buyers that you can really impact on the deepest level to you. So it starts with having strategic YouTube content, and this is discoverable content. This could also be done on a blog platform. Anything that is SEO driven. Again, this is also happening on AI platforms, and it's only going to happen more so that it is search driven and how those platforms are used. So the second crucial piece of having an owned audience engine is that you have somewhere to send people. The biggest mistake that you can make and that I see so many people make, we talk to people like this every single day. They've spent years building these audiences, assuming, well, they follow me, so of course they're going to buy something from me eventually. But that's the problem. Reach does not equal revenue. Having a focused audience of the right people, that is true leverage. So if you think people are going to remember you just because they saw you in your feed for 5 seconds or they found a video on YouTube, you are sadly mistaken. So you have to remember that the second core piece of this has to be sending them to something that you own. So that usually looks like a relevant lead magnet, something that's going to be even more supportive and helpful to the person that is following you, who actually has the intent to potentially work with you later on, because it is a big mistake to think that your audience is an audience full of buyers, right? Especially if you've built it in a way that's a little more broad, a little more general, a little more surface level. So in order for people to remember you and for you to have an audience that you can tap into and find your most ideal clients pretty much on demand, you have to own an email list. And that starts by having a valuable asset that you can provide to people: a PDF, an ebook, a lead magnet, whatever it may be, a webinar. You have to have something set up that people can use to educate themselves on why you are the best at what you do and get into your world. And then that leads us to the third piece of the owned audience engine, which is crucial if you haven't figured that out yet, is the email list. So you need to make sure that you're getting people onto that list through your asset. We call it a bridge asset. And then once they're on your email list, you are nurturing them. You are providing them value every time you create a piece of content. And this is a huge unfair advantage. You have a built-in audience of targeted people who actually care on your email list. So you own your audience instead of hoping that the algorithm will push your content to the audience that needs to see it. And we actually see this all the time, even on YouTube. If we publish a video and we don't send that video to our email list, The drastic difference in traction and engagement is massive. So, having an audience that you want on your email list not only hacks the algorithm and allows you to really own it instead of it being in charge of you, and it helps you to continue to nurture the people on that email list to show up consistently as the expert and authority that they're looking for until they're in a place where they're like, I got to work with you. I need to buy something from you. And then the fourth piece of the owned audience engine is the offer. So, whatever that may be, in our case, it is a scalable program. So, we turn years of experience, wisdom, knowledge, and skill sets into a scalable online program that becomes a scalable online business. So, really simply put, it's content owned audience offer. And that is how you turn earned authority into a scalable income, not $19 ebooks, not chasing views structure. So, one of our clients was the head of analytics at Vimeo. And in her first year of creating her scalable online program, she was able to generate $100,000 in income. And she was since been able to leave her job and turn this into her full time business. So, she was senior level, highly skilled, deep expertise, but her income was still tied to employment. But she didn't just quit, she validated first. And she had the room to do that because she had a bit of a security blanket. No viral fame, no mass audience, just really clear on who she served and what she could do for them. Clarity and, like I said, structure. So the shift isn't to just start posting. That's actually the worst way to do this. The shift is turn your knowledge and expertise into a structured asset before you think you even need it. And that is how you future proof yourself, your knowledge, your income. And now I want to dive into that 90-day roadmap so you can see exactly how this needs to be laid out and really make this concrete. So, day 1 through 30 of this 90-day plan is really simple. People make the mistake of going into selling first. What are you selling and who are you selling it to? I promise you that is a game plan for no one wanting to buy what you have to offer. So we use this as an opportunity to do market research, which is the most important part of building a business that's actually built to last. So talk to your first set of people. Could be 10, 20 people. Could it be even people that, are in your realm, in your network, your peers, people in your industry, people that would potentially be folks that you could help or serve or know, folks that you could help or serve with the program you want to create? So pay attention to things like repeated questions, common themes that come up, common gaps in what they need to know, but don't know yet in order to solve the problem that they have. Ask them questions like, if you could solve X problem, what would that do or change in your life or business or your job? If you could wave a magic wand and solve this problem today, what would that look like for you? What do you feel like you need in order to achieve this outcome, whatever that outcome may be? What is keeping you up at night about this? You want to understand and get really deep into how they are thinking and feeling because you know what it does. It fast tracks your marketing. When do you get to that stage? And it fast tracks how you create something that really is going to impact people at the deepest level because you are not making it up. You're not guessing. You're not thinking you're the expert on how to create a program that serves them. They are literally spoon feeding it to you. So, as simple as asking, what are you struggling with? What have you tried? What do you wish existed? You're not selling. You are simply taking a month to validate. And I always like to say, choose your heart. You can choose your heart of making a thing, spending years trying to develop a product that you think is going to sell and hope that it sells, and then you launch it and it's crickets. Or you can choose your heart of doing 30 days of intensive research to really understand what the market needs and then launching the thing that they actually need. Now, through day 3160, you still might want to do a little bit of research and talk to more people. So all you're going to do, you're not building anything. And I want to make that really clear. You're creating a simple outline. It can actually just live in a Google Doc. That's what we recommend. Simplicity is key. So how it looks in structure is you create the zero state of where your most ideal client is when they're in the most challenged, pain, frustrated state, and the hero state of where they want to go, their dream desired outcome. The more specific it is, the better. From there, you create the key lessons and the outcomes you're going to provide them to get them from zero to hero as efficiently as possible. Because people are not paying for your information, your brain, your knowledge, and all of the things that you could brain dump into a program. Nobody has time for that. We are drowning in information. They are paying for the efficiency in achieving that transformation. Then you pre-sell it, and we call this the POP method, which is profitable offer prototype. It is not a fully built program. It is the most ugly version of your program. It is bare bones built in Google Docs. You build it out week by week. As long as you have the outline of how to get them from zero to hero, then you can build it live week by week. So once you pre-ell it, then you actually move into delivery. And this is day 61 to 90 of the plan. So you're going to deliver this live. Really simple. 2 hours a week, one session generally, Zoom, Google Docs, and a private community that can be hosted on a multitude of different platforms. Very simple to set up, and you're just going to refine weekly because the biggest mistake you can make is building something completely and then trying to get people to get the results from that when you haven't had the experience of working with real humans in this environment to know what needs to go where. And Christine, who I mentioned earlier, she actually told us that if she had created her program before doing this process, she would have built it in the complete wrong order. So you don't know what you don't know. And you do not want to be a victim of the curse of the expert and think that you know exactly how this needs to go and how people are going to get results, because you just don't. No matter how good you are at what you do not know how to teach until you teach. And then from there, once you've validated this offer, and it just simply comes from these research interviews, and generally you don't really need social media to do that. You can tap into an audience if you have one that's built to speak to people who could be potential ideal clients, but you very much so can build with offline networks from people in your industry, people in your network, in your peer group. That is how most people launch their very successful prototype version of their offer. And then once you have tested it, you have delivered it, you've refined it, it is perfection, you turn it into a scalable offer that is pre-recorded. And then you use everything you have learned and all the questions that came up from these people that you spoke to and the experience of delivering it live. You create a bank of questions, problems that needed to be solved, FAQs. Those are your video topics for YouTube. Because on YouTube, if you can create discoverable content, which means it's content that addresses the pain points and problems of your most ideal client, you will get leads coming to you every day on repeat because it is a search-based platform. Plus, once the algorithm knows who you're trying to reach and what you want to be known for, which most people screw up royally, the algorithm will then be your best friend and push you and browse and suggest it and search to more of those people. And that's how you start to build algorithm authority and become the go-to in your industry. So one video a week if you can do it. You can even do one video a month at the beginning. Each targeting a specific problem or pain point, helpful, clear, valuable, direct, over-delivering, and then simply point people to enroll in your program, book a call with you, whatever it may be. And this builds this authority ecosystem. You have your channel that's bringing in relevant clients and leads. So you're building authority that way. And then you have an authority asset, which is your scalable program, something that people can get results from without requiring all of your time. It's built in a way where you have your curriculum, they can study at their own pace, you have your coaching done at scale, and you have a community of people that keep them accountable and driven towards the outcome and the goal, which creates an incredible community of results and social proof for you to say, I know what I'm doing and my clients are getting these results. And that attracts even more of the right people without, again, having to rely on an audience or social media. And in this day and age that we're living in, when your expertise starts to generate predictable revenue independent of your job, you create options for yourself, and options equal security. Because at the end of the day, AI is changing employment, some for the better and some for the worse. Companies are optimizing for efficiency, and you need to optimize for leverage. YouTube turns that expertise, that wisdom you've earned into a true asset, one that works whether you stay employed, change roles, or leave entirely. So this isn't about, quitting and living the glamorous entrepreneurship life. This is really about control. 10 years from now, even if you do nothing with it, if you just start doing one video a week on your area of expertise, answering those pain points and problems, you will have compounded exponentially. You will have built an owned audience on an email list that you can then leverage when you need it. So that really becomes the question. If you look 10 years from now, will your expertise have compounded or expired with your job? So if you want the step-by-step plan of everything that we walked through today, so you can really take this and run with it, be sure to grab the Monetize YouTube from Day One playbook at the link in the description. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole of how to turn YouTube into an asset for yourself and for your future, be sure to check out this video next on how to create a $1 million YouTube channel in 38 minutes using AI. I will see you there. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your takeaways in the comments. It is my love language. And I will see you in the next one. Fight.